Arsenal star told to leave club after Mikel Arteta decision. In modern football, few things are as constant as change. Reputations rise and fall, tactical systems evolve, and even the most indispensable players can suddenly find themselves facing uncertain futures. That is the reality currently surrounding Arsenal, where a bold managerial decision has ignited debate about the role and long-term prospects of captain Martin Odegaard under head coach Mikel Arteta. Once considered the creative heartbeat of the team and a symbol of the club's modern resurgence, Odegaard is now at the center of intense scrutiny. Pundits, former players, and sections of the fan base have questioned whether Arteta's recent tactical adjustments have diminished the Norwegian's influence, and whether, as a result, he should consider seeking a new challenge elsewhere. This is not merely a story about one player's form. It is about evolution, ambition, and the ruthless demands of elite competition in the Premier League. The rise of Odegaard, from prodigy to Premier League captain. To understand the current tension, it is important to revisit Odegaard's journey. Hailed as one of Europe's brightest teenage prospects, Odegaard's early move to Real Madrid carried immense expectations. Though he struggled to cement a place in Spain, his development during loan spells demonstrated maturity, resilience, and technical refinement. When Arsenal secured his services permanently in 2021, it felt like a calculated gamble with enormous upside. The gamble paid off. Odegaard became central to Arteta's rebuilding project. He was not only a creative fulcrum, but also a pressing leader, setting the tempo in possession and out of it. His vision between the lines, ability to glide past defenders, and knack for arriving late in the box to score crucial goals transformed him into one of the league's standout midfielders. By 2023-24, he was wearing the captain's armband. Arsenal's title challenge that season bore his fingerprints all over it. He embodied Arteta's philosophy, technical excellence fused with tactical intelligence and relentless work rate. So, how did a player once deemed untouchable become the subject of exit talk? Arteta's tactical evolution. Arteta's managerial identity is built on adaptability, while his principles, positional play, structured pressing, and fluid attacking rotations, remain consistent. His implementation has shifted as Arsenal's squad depth has improved. In recent months, subtle changes have altered the midfield's dynamics. Greater emphasis on physical dominance, increased reliance on wide overloads, more vertical, direct attacking transitions, a deeper-lying playmaker tasked with controlling tempo. These changes have occasionally repositioned Odegaard higher up the pitch or isolated him between defensive lines with consistent support. While he remains technically gifted, the spaces he once exploited have become more congested. Critics argue that Arteta's pursuit of tactical flexibility has inadvertently limited his captain's natural rhythm. Others counter that elite players must adapt or risk being left behind. Dip in influence or shift in role. Statistics rarely tell the whole story, but they fuel perception. Compared to his peak campaign, Odegaard's key passes, progressive carries, and goal contributions have shown fluctuations. In matches against physically imposing opponents, he has sometimes struggled to assert control. Yet context matters. Opposition teams now target him aggressively, often assigning tight markers to disrupt Arsenal's build-up. As the team's creative hub, he carries the burden of expectation. When Arsenal's attacking flow stalls, attention naturally turns to him. Some analysts believe the issue is not decline, but redistribution of responsibility. With new signings contributing goals and assists, Arsenal's attack is more diversified. Odegaard is no longer the sole architect. Still, football is rarely patient. When results falter or performances step, narratives form quickly. Punditry and pressure. It was in this environment that certain pundits suggested Odegaard might consider leaving if his role continues to diminish. The argument is straightforward. He is entering his prime years. He thrives in systems built around his creative autonomy. A prolonged tactical mismatch could erode his effectiveness. Such commentary does not necessarily reflect internal dissatisfaction, but it does highlight how precarious status can be at elite clubs. Football culture amplifies extremes. A captain lifting the team toward a title is celebrated as indispensable. The same captain, a year later, can be framed as expendable if results shift. Leadership under the microscope. Beyond tactics, leadership adds another layer to the discussion. Odegaard's captaincy has largely been praised. He leads by example, calm, articulate, and fiercely competitive. However, when a captain's on-field influence appears muted, questions inevitably surface about symbolic authority versus practical impact. Arteta has repeatedly emphasized collective leadership rather than reliance on a single voice.
This philosophy aligns with Arsenal's youthful core, but it may also dilute the prominence once afforded to the skipper. A captain thrives when central to the action. If tactical structures marginalize his involvement, perception can shift rapidly. Squad depth and internal competition. Another factor complicating the picture is competition. Arsenal's recruitment has been ambitious. Midfield additions bring physicality, dynamism, and defensive security. Tactical versatility allows Arteta to rotate formations without drastic personnel compromises. In such an environment, no place is guaranteed. This competitive ecosystem benefits the team, but places individuals under constant pressure. For Odegaard, it means that influence must be continuously asserted rather than assumed. The Manchester United link. Speculation rarely exists in a vacuum. Reports have loosely connected Odegaard with interest from Manchester United, a club perpetually searching for creative midfield authority. Whether such interest is concrete or speculative, it reflects broader market logic. Technically refined, tactically intelligent midfielders in their prime are valuable assets. Yet transfers of this magnitude are complex. Rivalries, contractual terms, and personal loyalties all weigh heavily. Odegaard's emotional investment in Arsenal's project should not be underestimated. Psychological dimensions. Form fluctuations are not purely tactical. Psychological factors, confidence, fatigue, external noise, play significant roles. As captain, Odegaard shoulders symbolic responsibility for setbacks. Media narratives intensify scrutiny, potentially creating a feedback loop. Reduced influence leads to criticism. Criticism affects confidence. Confidence impacts performance. Elite athletes often navigate such cycles, but sustained noise can accelerate doubts, both internal and external. The broader context, Arsenal's ambition. Arsenal's trajectory under Arteta has been upward. Title challenges, Champions League aspirations, and strategic recruitment signal intent. Ambitious clubs evolve relentlessly. Players who once spearheaded rebuilding phases sometimes find themselves adapting to new competitive standards. The question is not whether Odegaard remains talented, it is whether his profile perfectly aligns with Arsenal's next tactical iteration. If Arteta envisions a more physically dominant midfield core, subtle stylistic mismatches could emerge. Conversely, creative intelligence often proves decisive in high-stakes matches where space is scarce. Loyalty versus opportunity. Football careers are short. Decisions about staying or leaving hinge on timing as much as talent. For Odegaard, considerations might include guaranteed starting role, tactical compatibility, emotional connection to the club, prospects of winning major trophies. Leaving could offer renewed centrality elsewhere. Staying can solidify a legacy as Arsenal's long-term leader. Such crossroads define careers. Fan perspectives. Supporter opinion is rarely unanimous. Some fans view the suggestion of his departure as reactionary. They highlight their technical mastery and argue that temporary dips should not overshadow sustained excellence. Others believe ruthless ambition requires difficult decisions. If evolution demands different midfield attributes, sentiment cannot dictate strategy. Fan discourse mirrors broader football culture, passionate, divided, and deeply invested. Arteta's managerial challenge. Arteta faces a delicate balancing act. Maintain squad harmony, preserve leadership hierarchy, maximize tactical effectiveness, manage media narratives. Publicly backing his captain reinforces stability. Internally demanding adaptation ensures competitive edge. Great managers navigate such tensions without allowing speculation to fracture unity. Possible outcomes. Several scenarios could unfold. 1. Tactical reintegration. Arteta tweaks the system to maximize Odegaard's strengths, restoring his central creative role. 2. Evolution through adaptation. Odegaard adjusts his game, adding physical robustness or deeper playmaking to thrive within new structures. 3. Gradual marginalization. If influence continues to wane, rotation increases, fueling transfer momentum. 4. High-profile transfer. A significant offer prompts strategic recalibration, reshaping Arsenal's midfield hierarchy. Each path carries implications for identity and ambition. Historical parallels. Football history is replete with captains whose roles shifted amid tactical revolutions. Some adapted and thrived. Others sought fresh starts. Transitions often reflect broader club cycles rather than individual shortcomings. Odegaard's situation echoes this pattern, a symbol of resurgence navigating the next evolutionary phase. Data versus eye test. Advanced metrics suggest he remains among the league's most progressive passers in advanced midfield zones. However, influence cannot be measured solely by numbers. The eye test, tempo control, spatial manipulation, defensive contribution, remains subjective yet powerful. Arteta's assessment likely blends both analytics and intuition. Dressing room dynamics. Reports indicate strong dressing room support for Odegaard. Cohesion remains intact, and there is no public evidence of unrest. Such stability reduces the likelihood of abrupt departures. Clubs chasing titles seldom destabilize leadership course mid-project. Media amplification. Modern football operates within a relentless media ecosystem. Headlines amplify minor tactical shifts into existential debates. Star told to leave often reflects opinion rather than internal directive. Distinguishing between narrative and reality is crucial. Financial considerations. From a business perspective, selling a high-value asset at peak market value can fund reinforcements. However, replacing creative intelligence is rarely straightforward. Clubs must weigh short-term financial gain and long-term tactical continuity. The human element. Beyond tactics and finances lies the human dimension. Odegaard chose Arsenal permanently after experiencing football's volatility. Stability, trust, and shared ambition matter. Leaving would not simply be a professional calculation, it would involve personal reflection. Conclusion. Crossroads, not collapse. The suggestion that Martin Odegaard should leave Arsenal following Mikel Arteta's tactical decisions reflects the intensity of elite football discourse rather than confirmed inevitability. He remains a player of rare technical refinement and intellectual understanding of the game. Arteta remains a manager committed to evolution and competitive excellence. Whether this moment marks a turning point or merely a narrative spike will depend on performances, adaptability, and collective ambition. For now, it is less a story of departure and more one of tension between identity and evolution, a reminder that in top-level football, even captains must continuously redefine their place within the system. The coming months will reveal whether this chapter becomes a footnote in a flourishing legacy or the prologue to a dramatic transfer saga. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.